Have you ever wondered how many times you've lost not because you were wrong, but because you were too visible? Every move you made, every thought you shared, every intention you revealed, someone else used it, twisted it, turned it against you, and it didn't feel like betrayal. They expect your plans, delay them. They expect your explanations, withhold them. The more they lean in, the less they find. And the less they find, the more they wonder. That wonder becomes respect. That respect becomes hesitation. And hesitation is where your advantage lives. Your life is not a presentation, it's a fortress. Not everyone deserves a key. Not everyone is safe enough to hold your truth. Keep your vision sacred. Keep your voice controlled. Let your presence speak before your words ever do. The less they know, the more you control. And when you control perception, you control direction. You no longer move based on how they see you. You move based on how you choose to be seen. That is power. That is precision. Reveal less, move sharper, win more. They are not listening to connect. They are listening to collect. Every emotion you show, every reaction you give, every crack in your composure becomes data, and data becomes leverage. When they know what angers you, they poke it. When they know what excites you, they bait it. When they know what scares you, they weaponize it. This is not paranoia. It is clarity. The moment your emotions become visible, you become maneuverable. And the people who study you the most aren't always your enemies. Sometimes they're the ones sitting closest. Not because they support you, but because they want to measure your limits. Understand this: your emotions are currency. Spend them poorly and you go bankrupt. Guard them and you build unshakable wealth. Emotional exposure is the most expensive mistake in the game of power. People believe honesty is strength, but honesty without discipline is vulnerability. It hands over the keys to your inner world. And once they know where your pressure points are, they don't need to beat you. They just press gently, again and again, so you break yourself. The goal is not to suppress emotion, it's to own it, to carry it without leaking it, to feel deeply while appearing still. That stillness is intimidating. That stillness makes people guess, and guessing breeds hesitation. A person who cannot be read cannot be predicted, and a person who cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. Self-control is the difference between power and collapse. When someone attacks your pride, can you stay calm? When someone tests your limits, can you remain still? When someone tries to draw you out, can you let silence speak for you? Can you let silence decide everything? Come from reaction, that come from composure, the ability to hold tension without cracking, to watch chaos unfold and not flinch. This is how the strong separate from the impulsive. This is how leaders emerge when the weak unravel. Because when others lose themselves, the composed step in and take control. Mastery of emotion is not about pretending. It's about positioning. You feel everything, they just don't get access to it. They don't get to see what affects you, what drives you, what rattles your core, and because they don't see it, they start to believe you are untouchable. That belief is more powerful than any defense you could speak. When they can't read you, they assume you're stronger than you are. That assumption gives you space. That space gives you time. That time gives you leverage. The person who controls emotion controls outcomes. The world moves for the calm, the stable, the unshakable. Be that force. Feel everything but reveal nothing. Let them throw chaos at you and meet it with silence. Let them demand reaction and answer with stillness. This is how you rise, not by dominating the outside world, but by becoming immovable inside, emotionally locked, psychologically armored, radiating calm while carrying storms. Because power doesn't panic, power doesn't explain. Power feels deeply and reveals nothing. Silence is not weakness. It is presence. It is control. It is pressure that builds without release. And when used correctly, it becomes your most powerful form of communication. People fear silence because it forces them to confront themselves. It exposes their insecurity, their impatience, their hunger for validation. When you hold your silence while others rush to speak, they reveal everything. Their thoughts, their motives, their desperation to be. That's not confusion. That's calculated dominance. The people who succeed at the highest levels aren't always the most visible. They are the most unpredictable. They do not repeat themselves. They do not play by emotional routine. They adapt, shift, move without notice. That's what keeps them sharp. That's what keeps them untouchable. You need to become like that, disruptive in your calm, elusive in your strength. When they think they know you, show them a version they've never met. When they expect your silence, speak. When they expect your words, go still. Let nothing about you be guaranteed. That's how you stay above the game while they scramble to catch up. There is no power in being constant if that consistency becomes a leash. You are not here to be understood. You are here to remain ahead. When you stay unpredictable, you become harder to label. And when they can't label you, they can't control you. That's what you're after. Not applause, not approval. Autonomy, the ability to move without permission, to lead without resistance. And that begins the moment you let go of their expectations and stop playing the role they've written for you. Let them get uncomfortable around you. Let them second-guess your motives. Let them feel unsure. Because from that space, you gain authority, not by demand, but by presence. Every time you disrupt the pattern, you fracture their control. Every time you withhold the expected, you teach them to respect the unknown. And in that unknown, you rise, silent, calm, sharp, fluid, unstoppable. Predictability is safety for them. Unpredictability is freedom for you. Be the storm they can't track, the presence they can't box in, and the force they cannot outmaneuver. Never give them comfort. Give them mystery. Give them powerlessness in your presence. They will always ask you to open up, to be more transparent, to share your thoughts, your fears, your dreams. But what they really want is access. Access to your mind, access to your plans, access to your vulnerabilities. They call it connection, but underneath it is control. The more you reveal, the more leverage they gain. They learn how to shape you, influence you, use your own truth to manipulate you. What you think is intimacy is often surveillance. Every answer you give builds their map of you. And once you're fully mapped, you're no longer a threat. You're just another figure to manage, another open book they can skim through and toss aside. Power doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being impossible to figure out. The more uncertain they are about who you are, the more cautious they become around you. Uncertainty forces respect. It builds a psychological distance they won't dare cross. You don't need to be cold. You need to be private. You don't need to be distant. You need to be disciplined. They don't need to know your story. They need to feel your presence. And when they do, when they feel that control, they adjust themselves before they even speak to you. That is power. Not everyone who listens to you is listening to help you. Some listen to study your patterns. Some smile just to see how far they can get inside. You must stop mistaking curiosity for care. You must stop confusing attention with loyalty. Anyone can ask you questions. Only a few can be trusted with your answers. Right? But most of all, not everyone deserves a version of you that took years to build. Let them earn proximity. Let them qualify for access. Your mind, your pain, your growth, these are sacred. They are not casual topics for shallow minds. Protecting your inner world is not isolation, it's strategy. Silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is happening, but none of it is for public view. Growth is private. Power is built in silence. Plans are formed where no one can interrupt. And when you rise, it won't be because you shouted the loudest. It will be because you moved with such precision that no one even saw you coming. They only see the results. They never saw the process. That's how it should be. You don't need to be understood to be effective. You don't need to be known to be dangerous. You don't need to be accessible to be influential. Keep them wondering. Let them question what you're thinking. Let them feel the weight of your presence without ever touching your truth. When they don't know what drives you, they don't know how to stop you. Keep your silence. Keep your distance. And never give them the comfort of clarity. Because when they know nothing, you own everything. Power is not about dominance, it's about control. And the deepest control begins with yourself. Your words, your presence, your strategy, your silence. The more you reveal, the more you allow the world to interfere. But when you learn to hold back, to observe more than you speak, to let others underestimate you while you study everything, you start to build a different kind of power. Quiet power, precise power. Power that does not beg, does not boast, does not explain. It simply moves. Quietly, sharply, unapologetically. You've been conditioned to believe that if you don't share, you're hiding something. That if you don't speak, you lack confidence. But the truth is, the more you speak, the more you give away control. Control over how they see you. Control over what they expect. Control over the path they try to push you into. When you keep your thoughts locked in, you move on your own terms. You free yourself from their assumptions, their labels, their attempts to box you in. The fewer words you use, the more weight they carry. And the less they know, the more they pay attention. Most people want to be heard, but those who rise don't focus on being heard. They focus on being felt. And being felt doesn't require noise. It requires presence. When your energy speaks louder than your voice, they lean in. They don't interrupt. They don't play games. They sense something they can't quite understand. And that's exactly the point. Let them feel the tension of your mystery. Let them question your intentions. Let them feel like they're walking on unstable ground every time they interact with you. It's in that unease that they surrender control. You do not need to be louder to be stronger. You need to be more focused, more unpredictable, more aware. You need to watch how the world moves while giving them nothing in return. The people who last are the ones who can sit in silence while others expose themselves, the ones who can carry storms behind still eyes, the ones who look calm but are 3 steps ahead. When you live like this, you don't react to noise. You move when it matters. You speak when it's final. Whoa. You show up when the outcome is already decided. You don't need to declare who you are. You need to become so controlled that your presence speaks it for you. Let your silence breed speculation. Let your restraint earn fear. Let your unpredictability destroy their plans before they begin. Be the question no one can answer, the equation no one can solve, the force they never see coming. This is how the quiet win, not through volume but through clarity, not through force but through invisibility. The loud rise fast, but they fall just as fast. The silent, the calculating, the unreadable, they are the ones who stay, reveal nothing, control everything. Win without noise, win without warning, win because no one saw you coming. When you stop speaking, the world starts watching. When you stop explaining, they begin assuming. And when they assume, they hand you control. Control over how they perceive you. Control over how they respond. Control over how they prepare. Because when you reveal nothing, they prepare for everything. That's the advantage. That's the edge. You no longer need to out-talk, outshine, or outprove anyone. You only need to become the person they can't define, because what they can't define, they can't dismiss, and what they can't dismiss, they can't defeat. The loud seek validation, the silent build leverage. While others waste energy on attention, you conserve energy for action. You move with purpose. You speak with intention. You make them wait. And in that waiting, their uncertainty grows. They start filling in the blanks with their own fears, their own insecurities, their own projections. They overthink your silence, overanalyze your calm, overreact to your stillness. You haven't lifted a finger, and already they've given you power. That's the brilliance of withholding. That's what it means to dominate without noise. There is strength in not being understood. There is power in letting them guess. You become a storm behind glass, visible but untouchable. You don't need to be the loudest in the room to hold the most weight. You just need to be the most grounded, the most disciplined, the most unmoved. Let others seek to be known. You build power by being unknowable. You become the variable no one can calculate, the question that breaks the formula, the shadow that distorts their strategy. And the longer you maintain that silence, the more they bend to your presence. This isn't about avoiding people. It's about controlling the terms of your exposure, about deciding who sees what, when, and why. Not everyone is qualified to hear your truth. Not everyone deserves access to your process. And most will only use what you reveal to serve their agenda. So you protect your mind the way a warrior protects a weapon. Not with fear, but with purpose. You reveal when revealing strengthens your position. You speak when speaking multiplies your impact. Anything else is waste. Anything else is weakness. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be respected. And respect is built in mystery, in discipline, in presence. When you operate like this, people feel it. They hesitate before speaking to you. They overthink how to approach you. And that hesitation is leverage. That hesitation gives you space. It gives you time. It gives you control, not through force, but through the refusal to be known on anyone's terms but your own. Reveal nothing. Let them wonder. Let them chase clarity and find only silence. You don't need to be seen to be dangerous. You only need to be unreadable. Because when you reveal nothing, you leave no weakness, no opening, no target. And that's how you win. Calmly, completely, without mercy, without warning.